Hi all, you're watching Hitman Tutorials, and today I will talk about two vector softwares. It's Adobe Illustrator and Affinity Designer. I will compare them, and I will not make final judgment of what software is better and whatever. I'll just make a plain comparison. Let's start with Adobe Illustrator. I will turn this off. I'll shut down, and when you open the Adobe Illustrator, the first thing you have to do is create a new file. You go File, New, and these are the options that we have in this software. So the main thing that Adobe Illustrator is different from the Affinity Designer is this bleed. Both software have these presets or profiles to make a design for print or for web or any other design, and you can choose custom size and units, but Affinity Designer doesn't have bleed. It is very important for making a design for print. The other things are pretty much similar or same. So you click OK, and you have these settings, this working environment. There are lots of tools, a bunch of tools in Adobe Illustrator that you can use, and pretty much it covers all the things that you need for designing. I don't want to go into details about explaining all these tools and features. I'll just say a few things that Adobe Illustrator has and it lacks regarding the Affinity Designer. So if you see there are common tools like selection tool, direct selection, or node, anchor point tool, whatever, but some of these tools doesn't have we don't have in Affinity Designer. We don't have a Magic Wand tool. It's a pretty useful tool because it can make your design process very easy. So if you have a bunch of elements in design, and if we change colors on some of them, you can see that if you want to pick just objects with black color, we use Magic Wand tool, click on it, and it will select those objects that have the same characteristics. So a very useful tool that Affinity Designer doesn't have. We have lasso tool and pen tool and similar tools, type tool, eraser, brush tool, and so on. So these are common tools for vector design, but for example, Affinity Designer doesn't have blob brush tool, doesn't have these tools, warp tools, and doesn't have these, for example, live paint bucket tool, perspective grid, mesh tool, very important, doesn't have mesh tool, and blend tool. Of course, Affinity Designer lacks 3D tools such as extrude and bevel, revolve and rotate, but that is not the essence of the vector program. You can pretty much do all these effects with both software, but Adobe Illustrator is easier to use, and you can do it more. You can do it faster than Affinity Designer. I already told that Affinity Designer lacks a lot of tools that Adobe Illustrator has. For example, no path, blend, envelope, distort, perspective, live paint. Very important. Affinity Designer doesn't have image trace tool and text wrap tool. So Affinity Designer can't make any effects on text. So if you want to do warp, you can do it in Adobe Illustrator, but this effect you can't make in Affinity Designer. Also, Affinity Designer doesn't have distort tools, no warp tools, no artistic, sketch, pixelate, texture, raster tools. There are no magic wand tool, lasso tool, blob brush, and no mesh tool, like I already said. So another big difference between Illustrator and Affinity Designer is brushes. Adobe Illustrator has a full range of brushes, and you can easily acquire new ones, but Affinity Designer lacks vector brushes, and it's hard to obtain new ones, and they have low editability, so they are more raster brushes, and the effect you want to make with those brushes, you have to do it with strokes in Affinity Designer. And Adobe Illustrator can export this design to pretty much all the type files you need. So you can export it to JPEG, Photoshop, PNG. Of course, you can save it as Adobe Illustrator file, PDF for print, encapsulated PostScript file, SVG, and etc. So it covers pretty much all the file types you need for press, for print, for web, or whatever. So it has all the things you need at the moment. The one thing you don't need is subscription on Adobe Illustrator. If you want a full feature and legal software, you have to make payments monthly or yearly, so it's very expensive toy. Let's go to Affinity Designer. When you open Affinity Designer and you want to open new document, you just click on it, click new document. So on first look, it looks similar to Adobe Illustrator. Like I already said, it doesn't have bleed, but it has all the other options that you have in Adobe Illustrator. So the minus is that you don't have bleed, but it will have bleed in some of the future updates. So you, for example, want to make a web type of document, you choose RGB mode, and you pick dots per inch and click OK. What's the main difference between those two softwares? Affinity Designer has fewer tools in comparison to Adobe Illustrator, but the new features are personas. You have draw persona, you have pixel persona, and you have export persona. So what are the difference? This makes work easier, so you don't have a bunch of tools that you have on your screen, and you can just go from vector to raster effects in just one click to these personas. Like I said, Affinity Designer doesn't have a bunch of tools that Adobe Illustrator has, but you have all that you need for vector design. So you have, for example, this artboard tool, a node tool, and this is a new feature, a corner tool. I'll show you what's the difference. So this is another new feature that makes work easier for designers. So you pick one object, and this tool makes design process easier, so you can so you can edit it much quicker than this kind of stuff in Adobe Illustrator. So this donut tool, you can make whatever you want. So it's very useful for example, for web design. If you want a cog tool, you make one, and this is what makes this tool so useful. You can edit it so fast to suit your needs. So just like that. And when you're finished, you can right click on it and convert it to curves, so it's a plain object. And like I said, there is a corner tool, and how you use it, you can edit these nodes like this. It's very useful for illustrations, for example. You see, it's quite easy to edit it, and when you're finished, you can right click on it and convert to curves, and it's a plain curvy object. What is new in this Affinity Designer? It has a split view, which can be very useful in comparison to outline view in Adobe Illustrator. So you pick view, and view mode, you can choose split view, and you can easily make difference between raster and vector view, you see. So if you pick for this to be some kind of gradient, you can see the effects in vector and raster view. This is nice feature. So I'll just keep the vector view. Another feature is history tool. It is very useful, and there are no limitations on how much steps you can go back to undo something. So it's right here, a history tool, and you just go, and if you want to go to beginning to delete all what you have done, you just slide and go to the beginning. It is very easy to work with. It's very smooth, and you can easily edit it. Very smooth and intuitive look. You see how it's smooth. And another thing that is useful is Assets Manager. This is especially useful for web design and app design. So you go and find it in View, Studio, Assets. You click on it, and you'll find a bunch of assets that you can use as presets, as some kind of symbols. And you can make new ones and save them in the assets, so you can access them anytime you need. So for example, if you make some app design, you can use this. This is predominantly for iOS 10, and if you buy it, you can get some basic elements and other new kits. So if you click on, for example, graduate basic elements, you will find these that will make designing process very easy. So if you want to use this, you can just click and drag and drop, so you can use it. Then go back to this, and you have these icons, you have this you have a bunch of useful stuff. Just this can be very useful if you work with apps, app design and web design. So this is the big difference between Adobe Illustrator and Affinity Designer. Of course, I mentioned the corner tool and these object tools that are very useful, and you can edit them very easily. So if you want to make heart, you can edit it very easily, or any other tool that's listed here. So star tool, you can pick how many points very easily and then edit this object, and it still remains vector. Very easy to work and very smooth. So another thing, when you want to export this design, it has relatively low compatibility with Adobe Illustrator regarding exports. You will see that if you go to export persona and then go to file, export, if you want to export it as vector or encapsulated PostScript file, you see right here it says some areas will be rasterized. This is due to some of the effects that Adobe Illustrator can't import from Affinity Designer, something like some of the gradients, some of these type of gradients like elliptical, conical, bitmap, and of course Adobe Illustrator can't import these transparency tools, so it will rasterize the part of the design you used transparency for. So one thing is very important when you compare these two softwares. It's price. I know that this can make some of you say you're not right, you like this or that more or less, but I can assure you that at the moment Adobe Illustrator is better software, but comparing to price, it's like heaven and earth. For example, Affinity Designer is like $50 one time. But if you want to use legally Adobe Illustrator, you have to pay like hundreds of dollars monthly or yearly. So it's a big ripoff, and Affinity Designer is $50 one time, and you get free updates for free. You get free updates, and in course of time you will have some of these features that Affinity Designer doesn't have, like mesh tool, bleed, image tracing. You'll get it in near future with some of these updates, and you will never get any update, or you will never get a lower price and with Adobe Illustrator. So if I have to choose, I will stay on Illustrator, but I already bought Affinity Designer, and I expect so much more in future updates. So I hardly wait the moment that I can send Adobe Illustrator to recycle bin, because of their ripping off people with subscriptions. So when you buy when you buy Adobe Illustrator, you didn't buy it, you just rented it. It's a rip-off, and I'm pissed off because of that. Sorry if I insulted anyone, but this is my personal opinion. So this is a plain comparison of these two softwares, and you will see if you try the both. Adobe Illustrator is better at the moment, but Affinity Designer has a lot of potential, and I will definitely use Affinity Designer, and I would like to use it without Adobe Illustrator in the near future. So I hope this was useful for you, and see you in the next tutorial. Bye.